Hey everybody, it's Michael from Wahoo Comics, and today I thought I would try something a little bit different. So instead of having my regular haul video where I show off books that I've bought over the past week and then talk about why I think they're good ones to consider investing in, I thought I would start up a new video series where I share some comic investing tips that I've picked up, and then at the end of the video I'll show some books that I've recently bought that illustrate those tips in action. And so to get this series started, today I thought I would talk about what I would consider to be the two basic types of sellers that you're going to find if you're looking to buy comics online. And I'm going to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of each seller so that you, as a comic buyer and investor, can determine which type of seller it is that you want to look for, which type best fits your goals in the hobby. And so the first type of seller is what I would call the regular seller or the experienced seller. And this is the type of seller that I would consider myself to be. So I'm someone who is listing comics online to sell every week. Pretty much all of my listings are on eBay, and maybe that would be a good video for another day, talking about the different platforms to sell on and the advantages and disadvantages of each one. But anyway, I sell on eBay, and then I also spend time each week reading articles, watching videos, checking out eBay sold listings, so that first of all, I can know the current market value of my books so that I will know how to price them so that they'll sell fairly quickly and so that I can maximize my profit, and also so that I'll be aware of what new characters are coming into the MCU, so that I will know to buy their books now so that a year from now I'll be able to sell them for maximum profit. Now, the advantages of working with a seller like me is, first of all, convenience. Since I'm selling regularly, I want to make sure my books are easy to find. It's one of the things I love about eBay. It's so easy to find really whatever comic you want to buy. Almost anything, you can put it in that eBay search tab and you're going to find some listings. And so it's very easy to find what it is that I have for sale. Other people sell in Facebook comic book groups or Instagram. Also very easy to find comics on those platforms to buy. Also, an advantage to buying from someone like me is that there's real minimal risk in what comic you're going to get from me. So when I'm listing on eBay, I take very good photos. I take a minimum of 10 photos, the front and back cover, and then the front 4 corners and 4 back corners. So you are going to know what it is that you're buying. When the comic comes in the mail for you, you're not going to be like, oh, what the heck, these creases weren't there from the photos that I saw. You're going to know exactly what you're going to get. And so there's a minimum amount of risk. And if there are flaws that aren't easily seen in the photos, then I'll make sure to list them in the description, like, hey, there's a tear on page 2 or something like that. And I'll actually even probably put a photo of something like that. But I'll describe those things. And so you know what you're going to get. Also, because I have experience, I'm going to pack and ship very securely. So in my description, I mentioned I use Gemini mailers to ship. I love those, and I'm going to make sure that those comics are tight, that they're taped down, and that the comic is going to get to you the way it left my house. Again, very minimal risk in buying from someone like me. You're also going to see, since I have, obviously an eBay account, reviews for me. And you're going to click on Wahoo Comics. You're going to see, oh, wow, he's got 100% positive feedback. Okay, this guy knows what he's doing. And you read down, oh, everybody's talking about he's fast shipping, safe shipping. And then you're going to see some cool news for me over the past month. Oh, he's a top-rated eBay seller. okay, I can trust this. I don't have to worry. I buy it and it's coming and it's going to be what I expect when I buy it. You're also going to get speedy service from me. If you have a question about a book and you send me an eBay message, I'm going to respond fairly quickly to it, and then I'm going to get the book out quickly, usually the next day. Sometimes I'll take a couple of days if I've got a lot of stuff going on, but it's going to get there pretty quickly. So lots of advantages of buying from someone like me. Now the main disadvantage is that I'm going to be charging pretty close to full market value. Again, I'm looking to maximize my profits, and I know what these books are going for. So if there's a book that I've seen that sold for about $125 twice over the past couple of weeks, then that's what I'm going to list my book for. And I accept best offers, and so if you offer me like $120, then I'm probably going to take that offer. I'm want to get money so that I can then invest in more comics and keep my inventory, turning over and over and over and over. And my goal is to have the hobby pay for itself. And as you know, I sell smaller books to then buy bigger books that then go into my personal collection. But it's going to be really hard to get like a real deal from me. Now, that doesn't mean you can't make money. If you buy a book from me that you have reason to believe in a year is going to gain value because maybe there's a character in it that's getting ready to come to the MCU, well, certainly there's still money to be made. Comics in general will trend up over time, and so there's still a good investment that you can make in buying comics from me. But it's not something where you're going to realize much profit in the short term. You're going to be paying, again, pretty close to the fair market value. Now, the other type of seller is the inexperienced seller or the irregular seller. Now, this is someone who obviously doesn't sell regularly and who also doesn't spend a lot and probably zero time reading articles, checking eBay listings to keep up with the market value of their books. And people who would fall in this category are maybe someone who's collected for a while and they just know they're done with the hobby, and so they don't want these books to be sitting in their house anymore. Or often it might be an older collector who might not be fully done with the hobby, but they know they've only got a few years maybe left, and they don't want to leave boxes and boxes of comics that their kids are going to have to sort through and deal with. So they realize, well, it's time to pass these books on and let someone else enjoy them. Or relatedly, it might be someone who actually did inherit those books from their father, so their father didn't get rid of them, and now all of a sudden they've got boxes and boxes of comic books in their basement, and they're trying to figure out what to do with them. And so someone in that category, they know their comics are probably worth something. They inherit a collection and realize, oh, these comics are old, and so they want to get some amount of money for them, but they also don't want to spend, again, a lot of time researching, listing every single comic on eBay. And so they're not looking for maximum profit. They're just looking for, a decent amount of money. Now, the advantages to finding someone in that category selling is that, again, they're not looking for full market value. They're just looking for, a decent amount of money. And so you have the opportunity to get some really great deals. And that's the type of person I generally buy from because, again, I'm trying to resell books. And so obviously I don't want to spend a lot of time, buy a book for $50 and then sell it for $51. I'm looking for a higher profit margin than that. And so I'm looking for someone who's looking to sell their books for under market value. But that type of seller comes with some real disadvantages. So one, there's a tremendous amount of inconvenience with that seller, because someone who's inexperienced often doesn't even really know where to list their books. Usually what this person might do is Google comic forum, and they'll go to one of dozens of forums that are out there and say, hey, I've got this book I'm looking to sell. Does anyone want to buy it? And so I spend a decent amount of time scanning forums, looking for people who are saying that they're selling their collection or certain books. And it takes a lot of time to find that person. And then not only does it take time to find that person, but it also usually takes a lot of time to close a deal with them. It's not like eBay where you can just hit buy it now and it's coming. But often the person doesn't actually even know what they should sell their books for, and so you've got to kind of explain, well, this is what I can offer and why I can offer, and this is how I came up with this valuation. The person might get cold feet. They're, again, not as motivated to sell. They tend to respond a lot more slowly than someone like me. I've mentioned that in some of my recent videos. I've been kind of frustrated with people who have said they're ready to sell and then they ghost me or take weeks to get back to me. And so that's both a loss of time on my end and also some emotional frustration, like, is this going to happen or not? And so it's really inconvenient. So again, I get good deals, but there's a lot of inconvenience to it. There's also more risk in buying from someone that's in that category of seller, because even if you ask for photos, they're not experienced in knowing how to take good comic photos, and so you get these blurry photos that are hit or miss. But if I push too hard, this person on the other end is just going to be like, I don't want to deal with this guy. I can't make him happy. And so you don't want to push them away. So you take some risk in saying, I think these photos are fine, but I don't know. You also take more risk that there's flaws that they don't document, especially with the interior. And usually it's not because they're trying to be deceptive. They just don't even know what to really look for. And that's a big part of also explaining, when you're working with someone like this, what determines the condition of a comic book. There are people who think their books are, near mint condition because there's no, tears or creases, but there's like 20 spine ticks, and I'm like, this, affects the value of the book. I hate that it does, but it does, and so I can't offer you but this amount of money. There's risk with the shipping because they're inexperienced. I've had people ship me, comics that I paid a decent amount of money for, like in just a bubble mailer, and then the post office, cram it into my mailbox. And so there's a real risk there. But and I've tried to get better, especially after one bad experience of asking the sellers in this category, hey, how are you thinking about shipping and packing? Because obviously we want it to get here the way it leaves your house. That's another thing where you don't want to press too much, because then they'll throw up their hands and be like, I don't want to deal with this dude, and then you just miss out on the deal. And so there's some real disadvantages to finding that type of seller. And really, for the most part, you're weighing what's more important to you. Is my time more important to me? And if that's the case, well, then go to eBay or Instagram. Super convenient, decent prices, and save a bunch of time. Or is saving money more important for you? And if whichever one, you can't save both generally. So if you want to save time, it's going to cost you more money. If you want to save more money, it's going to cost you more time. And it also will probably involve more risk. If you want to save money, you're going to have to take on more risk. And so I'm going to show some books that illustrate some of the advantages and disadvantages of this second type of seller, which I think I mentioned is what I tend to buy from, because again, as someone who is looking to sell some of these books, not all of these, especially this one is going to go in my personal collection for sure. I'm looking to maximize my profit, so I'm looking to buy in as low as I can. All right, so the books that I got this week came from a seller who I found back in November. So in November, this seller listed one book online in a comic book form, and it was a book that I wasn't even looking for. Monsters Unleashed #1. So I saw, okay, well, this guy's selling it, and depending on what he's selling it for, I could maybe flip it online, but more importantly, I realized, well, if he's got this kind of 70s horror magazine, maybe there are other 70s horror comics and comic magazines that he has that I am actually more looking for. And so I reached out to him and said, hey, I'm interested in this book, but I'm also interested in maybe picking up some other books if you have them, and maybe we can work out some kind of package deal. And he said, yeah, sounds great. So I said, all right, awesome. Well, could you send me a list? He replies back, oh man, I've got too many comics here. I don't want to have to list them all. Could you come in and take a look at them? And of course, this is some guy I've just met in an online forum, and if he's close by, I'm happy to do that. But of course, I know the odds of that is pretty slim, and so I say, well, sure, if I'm close enough, I'd be happy to. I'm in Charlottesville, Virginia. Is that close to you? He's like, dang, I'm in Colorado. I'm like, yeah. So it's obviously not going to work out. So, can you send me a list? And he says, well, I've got too many. Can you send me a list of ones you're especially looking for, and then I'll look for them? And so in my mind, I'm like, well, that's a pretty big list. But I sent him a list of 10, kind of out of that genre, especially of 70s comic horror that I was looking for. I heard nothing from him. So this is November. I wait a few weeks in December. I reached out to him and said, hey man, I'm still interested in buying some comics if you are looking to sell. I heard nothing from him. And so I was thinking, well, this is pretty much over. I'm not going to get anything from him. But if you've been watching my videos, recently I've been frustrated by some other sellers who've kind of done similar things. And so a couple weeks ago, I was just like, well, I'm just going to throw out another email to some people I tried to buy from, a couple months ago. And so I just sent a quick email and said, hey man, I'm still looking to buy if you're still looking to sell. And he responds back. He says, yeah, I am. And I says, oh, well, great. Well, again, here are the books I'm looking for. And he replies back that he has some of those books. And one in particular that I am super excited that he had, that I'd been looking for, is this one, Tomb of Dracula, #10, which contains, of course, the first appearance of Blade. This isn't a cheap book, but I think it's a great one to be investing in now, because we do know that a Blade movie is coming. It's probably sometime in the next year and a half. It's been announced. I don't know what the date is, but this book is certainly going to climb in value until that movie comes out. And so I was ecstatic when I heard, oh, he's got this. And so I asked, can you send pictures? And then he sent pictures that were, not the greatest, and I thought to myself, well, man, I don't want to bug him too much because, again, he's, dropped off the map before. I want to get this deal done. So I said, hey, well, this is what I can offer you for that book, because I was weighing, I don't know what this book is going to come back at, because I am going to send it off to CGC, but I can't see the photos great. And in my mind, I was like, I think it would come back at like a 6.0, and so I'm going to offer him, enough money where I'll come out well as long as it comes out just a 5.0. I'll still do great. And then it got in the mail, and it's very light, but there's a stain that I can see, and so now this is where the risk comes in. Like, oh no, like, as long as it's a 3.0, I'll break even and then have this cool book in my collection. But this is the the risk that I take to do a deal like that. But again, I bought for a really good price. And again, even if it comes back at a 3.0, it'll be fine. But I'm really hoping. I don't know how. I still don't know how much staining is going to affect things. I hope it gets a 5.0. If it does, it's an awesome deal. If not, it's just a fine deal. And it still as they say, it presents well. The stain's light. So it's a book I'm super happy to have, but it's a great example of the risk reward of looking for that second type of seller. And he had some other books that I also picked up. And another reason, he did send me more after I agreed to buy this book. He put together a spreadsheet of everything he has, and there's several books that he wants that I'm going to buy. And I actually just bought some more today that should get in the next week or two that I'll show you, a few that I'm excited about. So I didn't want to blow that either. I know it's not just about this book, about some others, and so some others I picked up. And these next two I picked up, because even though I got a good deal, that still was not a cheap book. So these I picked up, very cheap. It's Tomb of Dracula number 25, which contains the first appearance of Hannibal King, and then Tomb of Dracula number 58. Which contains the first solo Blade story in comics, or at least a solo Blade story for sure. So those are books that I expect to climb in value as the Blade and Horde part of the MCU gets developed. Now, he also had a couple of Fantastic Four books that I'd been looking for that I picked up and got really great deals on these books, but again, they're going to be perfect examples of the risk you take. So Fantastic Four, number 65, which contains the first appearance of Ronan the Accuser. Now, I don't think this is a book that's going to spike anytime soon because Ronan's already been in the MCU, but I think it'll be a book that just steadily climbs. But when I pulled the book out, the back cover is just filthy. Just lots of dirt on it. Now, I think that a lot of that can be cleaned off, but even worse is this one, Fantastic Four, number 72, which contains this awesome Silver Surfer Jack Kirby cover. But when I opened it up, the middle pages were detached from the staples, which really kills the value of this book. Now, I got such a good deal on this that it'll be a wash basically if I ever decide to sell it. I don't think I am, just because this book looks so great for the condition it's in, because of those detached pages. So I'm again super happy to have it. I'm super happy with what I got. Got great prices on it, but there was risk that was involved, and that sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. But that's just part of the game. So anyway, hopefully you found all this kind of interesting. I'd be interested to hear from you in the comments. What type of seller you would prefer to buy from? Would you prefer to pay extra money for the experienced seller, or to get a good deal with an inexperienced seller? And then just tell me what you thought about this video series. Would you like to see more videos like this where I'm talking about different investing tips? If you don't like it, maybe just keep it to yourself. No, you can tell me or give me suggestions, or what are some things you would be interested in talking about. or hearing me talk about, like for instance, like I mentioned, which platform should I look to sell on. Of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I'd appreciate if you would consider doing that, liking the video, all those things that help with the YouTube algorithm. All right, I enjoyed making this video and hope you enjoyed watching it, and look forward to the next time.